The Maze Runner came out back in 2014 and it was a directorial debut of Wes Ball, and it was based on a very famous novel, in fact a very famous trilogy, and we are about to get the third and final installment. Welcome back to my Geek Classic series of reviews. We are pausing the MCU series for a bit because I need to review the first two Maze Runners because I have OCD. And just like with any Geek Classic review, this review will have spoilers for the Maze Runner. You are warned. Let's get into it. The film stars Dylan O'Brien, Kaya Scodelario, Will Poulter, among many others, and in the Maze Runner a group of boys are living in a small forest area where they've learned to function as a society with builders, guards, a leader, a set of rules and laws, and there are also the runners who are tasked to course through the gigantic maze surrounding the area that they are living in. This maze is also filled with fearful creatures called the Reavers, and the runners who are tasked to go through the maze to try and find a way out, because this is the only way out, must also avoid these creatures. Thomas, played by Dylan O'Brien, one day arrives and like the others, he does not know why he's there or has any memory of his past. Thomas then starts to try and change how this small society works with the way he wants to do things, which causes a lot of friction between him and Gally, the leader of the small group of boys. As I said in the introduction, Wes Ball made his directorial feature debut with this film, and overall, I think he did a really good job. I'm honestly a very big fan of the first Maze Runner movie. The movie is intense right from the first scene where Thomas comes up in this elevator-like device, waking up to meet the other boys, and Ball manages to keep things intense but also interesting as Thomas starts to learn how this society works and he starts to meet other people, and as I mentioned earlier, as he starts to try and change things, presenting new ideas, we should do this, we should do that in a different way than the rest of the boys are doing so far until this point, it creates problems with Gally, the leader of the boys, played by Will Poulter, who is damn excellent in this film. I still remember the first time I watched Will Poulter in the third Chronicles of Narnia film, and he was annoying as hell, and in here was the first time I really saw him for the actor he could be, and that he has proven since this film that he is. Dylan O'Brien, who is also great in the film and a very good leading man. In fact, I was rooting for him to get the Spider-Man role before even knowing how Tom Holland was doing, because all I remember from Tom Holland was this, and I just did not see this being Spider-Man, but I'm glad Tom Holland got the part. But Dylan O'Brien, he is very good in this film. He proves that he can be a leading man, and the two have great chemistry, and they generate this adversary-like relationship that brings a lot of great dynamic to the film, and it only enhances the story moving forward. The maze sequences must also be praised because Wes Ball manages to keep them thrilling, entertaining, and they keep you on the edge of your seat, and they are also, all of them, very different from each other, which is very unique. Depending on the purpose of certain maze sequences, because they must try and go and find a new pathway, or maybe try to go all the way through to find the exit, or maybe the certain different locations that they go through as they find these different pathways. Sometimes these sequences even occur during different parts of the day, with one of them in particular leaving Thomas and Mino, one of the other runners, trapped inside all night. This is probably my favorite sequence of the film, as we get a look at them inside the maze at night, hiding from the Reavers, and also the boys at the camp looking on and trying to find out, will they come back, won't they come back, will we have to find two other runners to try and set the course that they had already established at this point. Ball proves that he has a great visual eye to tell a story in this film. He has swift, sweeping camera movements that add a lot, and he uses location very well. You feel the difference of the location of the camp, of the maze, and the eventual location of the lab. They all look great, and I think Ball did a very good job directing this film. And just as things start to get familiar and mundane, and we start to get used to the workings of the society and what they have to do, their jobs, let's say, the story takes yet another great turn as for the first time a girl is introduced in the society. This adds even more friction to the relationship of Thomas and Gally and the other boys, as it starts to cause a divide, because now more people agree with Thomas and they want to try his way of doing things. And eventually they do escape the maze, they find the exit, and they get to this lab-like area where they find out the truth. Patricia Clarkson comes in on the screen, Gally dies all of a sudden, and this is where my problems with the Maze Runner start. Throughout the film, every time there is exposition, the film never seems to find a good way to do exposition. It just suddenly stops and here's information you need to know, setting up the following consecutive scenes that will happen for the story to progress. Even when it comes to character development, it never feels like these characters are naturally having a conversation. The dialogue itself, as it comes out, as these actors portray it, is good, it's fine, I have no problems with it. It's just the fact that it always seems like the movie stops. Let's stop for a second, here's information you need to know for things to make sense eventually. And you can see through this, and that's the problem I have. But the other problem, and the biggest problem I have with The Maze Runner, is the ending. It just doesn't work. As Thomas and the others find this lab-like area and Patricia Clarkson pops up to deliver what is not only more exposition, but also the most lazy, obvious way to set up a sequel I have seen in years. It just stops the film, and we are not going to do any more here because we need to leave some plot for the next film. But also the explanation to everything, to why they are trapped, to what happened before, to why they don't have any memories. It's the most silly, far-fetched, and contrived way of explaining things I remember seeing in any film, in any plot reveal, because she explains this to them, but it doesn't really explain a lot. You're still leaving the film with the same questions. They explain it as if you were within the plot of the film, as if you understood what really happened. So they have these terms, this scientific jargon that doesn't really let you on the know of what is going on. The Maze Runner is very entertaining. It is very well acted, very well directed. The cinematography looks great. The location is felt through the screen with Ball's direction and his use of the camera. How it all breaks down, how it all comes to a conclusion, even though it doesn't come to a conclusion, is my main problem with the film. It's the concluding of one story, or at least one part of a story, that it fails at. The last 20 minutes of The Maze Runner are my biggest problems with film, all crammed up into a 20-minute time frame, all within one single film. I really enjoy The Maze Runner. I have it on Blu-ray. The performances are great. Again, the direction is very good. The story could have used a lot of work, especially in those last 20 minutes, but we'll get to that, especially tomorrow in my review for the Scorch Trials. I will give The Maze Runner a very just martini, because The Maze Runner, despite all its flaws, despite all them being crammed up at the end, is a very good time, anytime. What did you think of The Maze Runner, my beautiful geekies? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Let me know how you rank the first two Maze Runners, and tomorrow I will be back with another geek classic for the Scorch Trials. I cannot wait to see you there. And so until then, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so you can be geeky united!